Okay, so we're gonna have three topics on today, which are basically the same topic, but in like three different uh, kind of topics of the last week. And it's basically Donald Trump, the inauguration, and Women's March. I'm gonna start up with Donald Trump actually being president and what he's done so far. What are your guys' thoughts on it? I'm gonna let each and one speak uninterrupted. I can start with Tiki. What do you think so far he has done?
Honestly, I'm really scared because right now he's a politician, and honestly, plus politics does not mix. So him doing everything he set out to do within his first 100 days and actually accomplishing them each and every single day for each specific one is a huge surprise. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who are originally against Trump are seeing this and they're going, "Holy shit, what the fuck is this? Where the hell did this all come from?" Because they weren't expecting it. It's like the Spanish Inquisition.
Any thoughts on what he's actually done? Anything specifically, perhaps the abortion thing?
Well, I'm not going to touch up on abortion because of the fact that I've never been pregnant. Thus, I've never had the opportunity or chance to have an abortion. And I don't know if I should be thankful or not for that in that regard. However, I will say that the one thing I was very impressed with is on day 4, he had ended the TPP with China, bringing back $50 million to the United States and about 300,000 jobs from China because of that.
Yeah, that ain't half bad. Neko, you're next. What do you think he has done so far, and your thoughts on it?
Well, there's some good, some bad, same as every other thing. Like, I'm still iffy on the pipelines bit because that seems like an environmental issue that could prop up, and I know that oil companies and natural gas companies do not have a wonderful track record on keeping the environment, together. The TPP and NAFTA getting a massive swift kick to the nuts is also something that is good. Because, let's face it, TPP was horrible. It was the worst thing I've ever seen for a trade deal that would screw over so many people, especially American jobs. Some people praise it as being such a good thing, but it would only be good for the small degree of wealthy elite who can buy as many patents as they want and screw over everyone else. He's also trying to do the wall thing, which he said he was going to do, sticking to his guns. Whether that winds up good or not is up for debate. There's been a story out now that some undocumented immigrant tried attacking a border patrol officer with a knife, but that some people are tinfoil hatting that one by saying that it's a secret plot by Trump to prove that illegal immigrants are bad, and I'm like, that's tinfoil, man.
I'm gonna verify something with you on that. This is probably the same group of people who would set up a hate crime against themselves by like spray painting support Trump or die on their own house and then take a picture of it saying, "Look what Trump supporters put on my house." So you gotta keep an open mind about that kind of stuff.
If you don't mind if I interject there, things like that are known to happen along the border. So while this particular story may or may not be true, for someone to say it's just Trump trying to, frame illegal immigrants and trying to classify them as dangerous, there are a lot of border officers out there that are attacked regularly by people trying to cross the border or by gangs coming from across the border.
Something else that I wanted to bring up about the Trump things is his dealings with the VAs right now. It was really nice to see a lot of those extremely corrupt members of the VAs getting kind of dumped to the side. Though the hiring freeze is a bit of a worry on that, because how are you going to replace the corrupt little shits who got thrown out?
Yeah, that's a good point. Anything else you want to mention?
Nothing really much stand out for me. It's just he's being Trump, and we'll see how that plays out.
All right. And Curcio, what are your takes on Trump so far?
Okay, so far, ever since, he got nominated, I was assured that, someone who doesn't know politics normally wouldn't do the job right or correctly, but has been proven in the past be wrong with some other presidents who are not into politics and come from different variations of business and or other forms of anything else. So I say, I say he'll probably do a better job than what we could have had, which was Hillary. But problems still arise with him. With the wall. I know he's going to stick to his guns, but I don't think it's probably going to happen. And if he has the resources, but if he's like, knowing him, since he's a well cracked up businessman, he might manage to do it. But who knows? I think I have faith on Trump, and most of the people despising him. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Frost, do you have anything you wanna add?
It's pretty much the same thing for me with a lot of people about like the TPP and how fucking horrible it was for not only our economy but just for copyright in general and stuff of that nature. It's like I get that he's trying to prevent companies from screwing us over, but at the same time, there are some policies of his that will allow companies to screw us over in other ways. So I'm kind of interested in seeing where that goes from here on out. As far as the thing with the wall goes, I'm just hoping that he plans to do some immigration reform along with that instead of just trying to keep people out. But overall, it looks like he is at least attempting to get some things done, which is refreshing to see. And that's all I have to say on that.
I mean, I haven't seen everything he signed, so and I have a kind of an outside perspective because I live in Europe and you guys pretty much live in North America, and just the press here, at least some of the press, are kind of freaking out of what he's doing. So I find that kind of hilarious, seeing just the mainstream media here reporting on everything. As you guys said, the TPP, a good thing that he signed that, because it affects even people in Europe, because it's a terrible fucking deal for everyone. You also have the bad thing, the climate thing, where they're basically removing everything regarding climate change, which is, in my opinion, very bad. I'm not sure how the whole abortion thing, because I honestly don't know how your everything works in the state regarding like medical care and all that, Obamacare and all that kind of stuff regarding your healthcare system. So I have to kind of see how that turns out. I know he's already removed some things from Obamacare as well, and I kind of see his point regarding him doing the import tax, 20% import tax, because he's kind of subsidizing American farmers with that, because prices for imported, we kind of have the similar economical structure when it comes to imported wares, at least with food here in Norway, because everything pretty much sold that most people buy are made by Norwegians and farming. So I think that's gonna actually, he's actually subsidizing your at least farming, from what I know, because you get a lot of food from Mexico. I know there's probably other stuff as well, but that's the kind of the closest comparison I can think of when it comes to Europe at least. And it might actually benefit Americans in the long run, if it works. That being said, yeah, so it's kind of hard to say if it's gonna work, but I think U.S. has the capabilities to be self-sufficient in that way regarding the import tax.
Yeah, the thing about the U.S. is that if it really gives a crap about industry and stuff like that, it can very easily like reestablish industrial production. Like I usually like to bring up World War II as an example, is that the US was pretty lagging behind on industrial production at the time, and then as soon as the war started, within months they were producing at speeds unimaginable at the time.
That just goes to show that nationalism can fuel pretty much at home industrialism within the US, and not
Yeah,
just
I
the
mean,
US, other countries too.
yeah, if at least this one I can see actually turn out rather well for US at least, regarding the import tax, because Norway has a similar form, and it seems to be working and helping farmers here, because Norway as well isn't part of the EU, and because of that they don't have like open border. It would basically be the TPP for Norway, because all the farmers in like more lush areas in Europe, say for instance southern France, would be able to produce much more for much less cost compared to Norwegian. So the Norwegian government is actually protecting Norwegian farmers that way. So that's
One
what
of the
basically Trump is doing.
One of the problems with American farmers, though, is that a lot of the subsidies that are get aren't properly used in order to produce food. So it's kind of a twofold issue there. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people who take out farming subsidies that don't use them properly, and it may not be like half or anything like that, but I know it is a huge percentage of it.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at this and thinking about this from a different perspective. What Donald Trump is doing by removing the TPP himself is he's providing a local base factory and shop for the people in the United States. And the reason why I'm saying local based is because there could be shops and factories all over the world with the same product or the same label name, but it's still all local based. Let's look at a prime example of this would be McDonald's. McDonald's has their stuff come in locally. They sell their stuff locally. They produce their stuff locally. That's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to bring back the factories to have everything done locally, so we're not like importing and exporting all this
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
all over the place.
That's what I kind of mean.
Yeah.
With him removing TPP and increasing the import tax from Mexico at least. Regarding other things, yeah, because people are kind of freaking out because he's doing what he says he was gonna do, and why is that so surprising? Because I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do, which shouldn't all politicians be doing that? Which is kind of mind-boggling then that he actually didn't lie, which is also refreshing.
I think that the shock comes from the fact that so many people are used to politicians making promises and then just kind of backing away on them the second the heat gets on it. That a lot of the people who voted for Trump were like, well, we don't like Clinton, which is a perfectly respectable thing to think because, seriously, she's horrible. But what a lot of people were thinking were that some of his more obnoxious and crazy ideas would just kind of blow away and he wouldn't follow through with them if he was elected because they're too crazy to work. What they forgot is this is a person who is highly influenced by his own ego, which means that even though a lot of his things, even though some of the things he said were frankly crazy ideas, that his ego makes them believe that they're the right thing. So he's going to follow through with them.
Also, if he had people echoing that sentiment and those ideas were talking points, he would be more likely to follow through with them because he's pretty much a populist.
Yeah. So yeah, those are pretty much the thought I have. I think we spent enough time on this topic. At least we spent 70 minutes on it. So let's move on to the inauguration. I'm gonna play a video, kind of. God damn it! There was a video. So, God damn it! I have a video here from the inauguration. I'm gonna screen share. One sec. There we go. Present to everyone. You guys can see this, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Be sure to have the right screen so you can see it. Let's watch this.
Well, guys, the police are rushing this group of protesters right here. A flashbang just went off. Bricks and rocks being thrown right here at the police. They have just rushed down 12th Street trying to knock some of these protesters down that way. They flashbang rounds. They're moving toward these protesters right here, who are many of whom have been low on. We just saw one gentleman who was down on the ground. People helped him up. He said he got sucker punched. He was helped free a little bit. But we just, as we were coming on, there was a flashbang round being fired. Riot police have just wedged in the protesters, driven some of them down K Street that way. And as you can see, there's a very tense stare between the.
Can you pause it real fast? Now, I know you're not doing this intentionally, but because of there is like a lot of glitchy lag going on at your end with the video itself, it's making it seem like the police are being these incredibly brutal against the protesters. I heard something about a guy got sucker punched, and then somebody, I'm not sure if it was a protester or a police officer, helped to pull the gentleman up onto his feet or what, because it was so broken.
You can hear that.
It's really broken. Like, speak over.
Oh, okay.
Straw man. Just like that.
Okay. Well, the point was kind of giving an impression of what it was like. So, it was confirmed people were dead during the inauguration, and they can most of them could risk getting up to 10 years of felony time, federal prison, basically. So that's
You're
all the
roboting pretty bad, Ander. Though that might just be on my end.
No, it's happening for me too.
Same.
I think it
I
might
don't
be
know
your bandwidth, mate.
Can you hear me better now?
You're running a lot of videos. It might be your bandwidth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes, much better.
Okay. I just closed the window. It might just be Chrome that's screwing things up. But yeah, 200 people arrested and felony charges, so they might spend up to 10 years in jail. What do you guys think about that?
If you do the crime, you gotta do the time.
Well, what exactly were they doing? Were they the ones throwing the rocks at the police officers and then causing the police
Yeah, well,
officers to
those are
riot in
basically
return?
basically the rioters, those who either attacked police or did some violence in the streets. So those are the ones who got arrested, basically. So they're facing up to 10 years of felony or federal charges. So
Yep.
I'm just
They would
asking
have
because I
to
want to
do that
make
in
sure it
order.
was actual rioters and not just protesters. Because if it was just
They-
protesters, then that's like, why the hell are you arresting these protesters? The rioters, yeah, that would make sense that they'd suffer with that punishment.
That would be the reason why they're being charged with a felony would be for violent assault.
And it's being done on a federal level because they were idiots and did it in the
capital.
capital.
Two cops.
Yeah.
At that.
So yeah, it's stupid. Yeah. Go
Did
ahead.
you see the video of the protesters pushing back against the cops?
No, I haven't actually seen that.
I think that video was after the fact, but protesters had balled up and were pushing against the riot shields, which is why they were split up like that.
I haven't actually seen it because there's been so much footage coming out. I've been trying to keep up, but there's been so much footage that I haven't actually been haven't seen everything because it just seems so crazy. I've seen the stuff from Rebel Media and CNN and other places, but I haven't seen everything, of course, because it's quite a chunk of a video that's been released since then. So I don't know
Yeah.
what are your impressions of the entire inauguration? Because I saw I don't know if it was Rebel Media or someone else, because people were chaining themselves to entrances during the inauguration, refusing people to come in, and police didn't do anything. So
Yeah. They were preventing military officers from even getting inside the place, talking about you can't get in this exit or whatever the fuck they were saying, something like that. And I just think it's fucking ridiculous. It's like, okay, you can protest, but don't try and deter people from getting into the venue.
I mean, if it could be a health or safety hazard, because if there's suddenly something
That's a fire
happens,
hazard as well,
Yeah.
because if something happens, those very same people could either A, trample someone, or B, get trampled. I mean,
yeah. So I don't know why they weren't arrested, to be honest.
I honestly think if you're blocking a public access way with the intention of preventing people to get inside, you should be arrested.
Yeah, because they
You're
they weren't
basically
just- Yeah, because they weren't just like a human chain. They actually chained themselves together with like actual chains, and so people actually couldn't climb or get between them. They couldn't physically go inside of these entrances for the inauguration. So that's pretty crazy, and that nothing was done about that. And I saw footage of police being at the entrances, and there was nothing they did about these. I don't know if it.
And check this
called
out.
protest.
Even after all that, what's changed?
Okay.
Nothing. Nothing has fucking changed even after all of that. People don't seem to realize that they're wasting their time by doing these particular things. They've accomplished nothing doing all of these protests and riots. Absolutely nothing but make people hate them.
Hashtag save the Allosaurus. No matter how much you try to promote your activities and views and ideals, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to bring the Allosaurus back. Nothing's going to change people's ideas about you as a protester in general.
If anything, you're just cementing them because you're performing the same
Yeah.
act they accuse you of.
Yeah, I saw like people were saying there were fewer people coming to the inauguration. But first of all, you have to take these two factors. People were being blocked from entering. And second of all, 90% of Washington voted for Clinton, not Trump.
Well, Washington is one small part of the state, so I mean,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. No, but the entire state like voted for. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken, but I know at least Washington voted 90% in favor of Clinton. So there was already a massive hurdle to go compared to like Obama, who basically most of Washington voted for that guy. So. And you also had, I don't know, I think you saw that as well with the protesters basically trashing the Bank of America and Starbucks, setting the limo on fire. Well, the guy was Muslim, so they basically attacked their own, so to speak. And and
yeah, the Muslim is being oppressed by them.
Yeah. Do you know how they responded to that one after they found out?
no, I haven't.
They said that it was the fault of Trump supporters.
Yeah, right.
Hilarious.
Because they were screaming "fuck Trump" while they were
Yeah.
doing it. So
Yeah,
Jesus.
they shouted about how they tried to spin it as some Trump supporters snuck into their peaceful protest and burned down a thing because they knew it was a Muslim and it would make them look bad if they damaged a Muslim car.
Really? Really? Fucking Shia LaBeouf attack one of his own. Really?
That's just
Yep.
sad.
He will not divide us.
These people are fucking unhinged.
I think that's like the biggest joke of all this inauguration protests marching is Shia LaBeouf himself. Just his existence there was a huge laugh.
It was one huge meme.
Wait, he was there?
Yes.
Yes. He was
Yeah.
he was supposed to be doing a 24-hour stream for 4 years to protest Trump's presidency, and he couldn't even last 4 fucking days
My God.
before he got arrested.
My God. What's this, the second
Yeah,
time already? You got arrested?
Yeah, this second
he's been
time.
arrested a lot of times. Yeah, well, he's been arrested a lot of times.
I mean, there's enough memes and jokes about Shia LaBeouf beforehand, but him being at the protest just like made all those memes tame compared to the stuff that was coming out from afterwards.
And Jaden Smith being there as well. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, no.
I
It-
saw
it-
that. I saw that picture. That was yeah.
How can our eyes be real if mirrors aren't real? Some shit like that. He said. That guy is a fucking retard.
I'm sorry, but he's fucking drunken. Jaden Smith is an example of what happens when you indoctrinate kids with a political ideology. He is a living, breathing proof that it's a problem.
Yeah. I think we have said everything on that. Let's move on to the women's march. I have 2 videos. If they're pretty bad,
That's all I gotta say. I just laughed. That's all I gotta say. That's everything. Everything involving the women's march. It's a joke.
Remember,
basically
they were all wearing pink hats, which were basically fashioned after Meg from Family Guy. So all of them at the Women's March were Megs.
That's
So
an insult to
everybody
injury.
was like,
Weren't the
Shut the
hats
fuck-
supposed to just be pussies?
yeah, but they ended up looking like Meg.
And considering a lot of the women in the Women's March are about Meg's shape, and wear glasses like Meg and have brown hair like Meg, you've got fucking Megs everywhere.
That just made it
Well,
all the more ironic.
I'm gonna play these 2 videos. Let me know if they're pretty bad. Otherwise, I'm just gonna link them in the description so people can watch them.
Point something out to you. You asked where were all these people in the march. I want to also tell you, it wasn't just liberal women marching. It was Trump voters marching, female Trump voters, because a lot of the women that I talked to said, listen, I voted for him for this reason, but I wasn't aware he was going to sweep everything out, including...
Good so far?
Yeah.
Yep.
But I would like the citation of her saying that it wasn't just like anti-Trump women.
You mean the Trump voters marching as well? I mean, I'm a Trump voter myself, and I wasn't marching. I was laughing at the marchers.
Yeah,
I
but
wasn't marching.
Needed.
Citation needed. I'm
Yeah.
living citation right now for that. If everything involves me, I am citation.
Yeah. So let's continue.
me. So I'm here because I feel like I need to let him know this is not okay. So when you say that, just know, because I saw a tweet from some Congress guy who said that, you know who I'm talking about? The guy who said, oh, it's just a bunch of liberal women marching. Why should I pay for your birth control? Well,
Pause it real fast.
You should know that.
Pause it. The guy didn't tweet about birth control. He asked, why should I pay for your abortion? Which I agree. Why should taxpayers pay for women to get an abortion of a child that they just didn't want? If you don't want a child, you keep your fucking legs together.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's a twofold issue, but that's for another time.
Or use one of the 85 ways to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, but the point is, taxpayers should not be having to pay for abortions of that case. I can understand taxpayers paying abortions for rape victims who end up getting pregnant. That's something I would support. Or maybe for medical reasonings, like a mother, if she was to have a child, she would end up dying. The pregnancy is too complicated. And, for
And
that.
rape.
Yeah, and rape. And that's it. If you let yourself get pregnant, decided to have an abortion because the child is going to be a boy, as an example, because this is a primary example, why should the taxpayers pay for your inconsiderate need to get pregnant and then decide to have an abortion?
Can I say something on that?
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the majority of abortion cases. I mean, there are a lot of people who end up getting pregnant and just can't afford one. I don't think that it's necessarily the right thing that they're doing that, but I think taxpayer paying for abortions is one of those things that's kind of necessary in order for quality of life. And on top of that, taxpayers pay for a whole bunch of other stupid things. I don't think that compared of all the things that we pay for, I think that's probably one of the more useful things that we pay for, is to prevent a child from coming into this world that the mother won't be able to take care of. Because that's just going to cost us more. A couple $100 for an abortion isn't nearly as much as tens of thousands of dollars for raising a child. Most likely, that person is going to end up on welfare, and it's going to end up costing us more. So I think it's one of those necessary evils that a lot of people don't seem to understand. I do understand where you're coming from. Paying for other people's mistakes, it's not fair, but I think it's something that we just have to do. Otherwise, it could end
There
up a
are
lot
things
worse.
that I agree with you on how we end up paying paying into, like, we're paying ridiculous amounts into prisons, but we're not paying nearly as much into schooling, which is
Yeah,
saying
but
a lot because
let's not derail this whole thing. 'Cause
yeah, but I'm just
Inevitable
saying that the abortion thing itself, though, is the one thing that I feel as a taxpayer myself, I should not have to pay for other women who are inconsiderate about their choices, who are a constant flip-flop about what they want and then decide that they don't want it.
but we can have another discussion on that. Let's just finish the video.
Will do.
Because you should know that birth control isn't just birth control. Birth control does a lot of things for women's bodies. So if you're not going to do your homework, don't make statements like that because you sound dumb.
Echo chamber, of course, and we have this video as well. Of
You might
know
want to
who?
close up the old videos just to keep the stream going without it chopping up.
Yeah, I'm not. We can talk about the video we just saw. Is there anything you wanted to talk about with regarding that video?
No, I just wanted to point out that I don't think that taxpayers should be paying for for women's abortions just because they decide that their child's a boy, so they're not going to have it.
Yeah, that's fucking retarded. And
Yeah,
if anybody actually did that, I would fucking lambast that person to hell and back.
Shit,
I remember-
I'd have them give birth to the child and raise that child myself.
Regarding her lack of citation, her claim with saying that Trump voters as well were out marching, that I would need to see a fucking citation for that, because
need to see
Go ahead.
demographics for that because, well, it's entirely possible, but there's no proof.
yeah,
of
it's
that.
plausible. It's entirely plausible. I'm not gonna deny it. I would like to see some proof though, if you have a claim. But I saw actually a young woman. She was doing I saw it on the Beauty and the Beta podcast with Matt Christensen and Blonde of the Belly of the whatever her name is, and Romy Millennial. I saw it like 2 hours ago, and they had a video where I think she's like 15 and she was with her parents, and she was just there to for an assignment for a school, and she had an Make America Great Again hat, and she was told to leave because they didn't want those kinds of women at the march.
Well, fuck them. People, I mean, this is a free fucking country. You can't sit up there and say that it is one, and then you sit up there and try to tell other people what to do with their life. I mean, fuck off.
Yeah, but I just find that in itself quite fucking ironic when Whoopi Goldberg says that, and that happened at the women's march. So there's a contradiction right there. And here I have 2 links. This woman right here, what was her name? God damn it.
I remember
One
this one.
I have her here. Donna Hilton was her name, and she's a convicted felon. She tortured and killed a guy for like, I think it was 2 days, and she was featured at the goddamn women's march.
It wasn't 2 days. It was 15 to 20 days.
Oh my fuck God.
She tortured this man, and not only that, it was I believe it was a gay guy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
she
it might
tortured
be.
this man for
I'm
15
sorry,
to
I'm
20
gonna have
days.
to go now. I've actually I had lost somebody because he was bashed in the this was like a few years ago. He was bashed in the head with a hammer several times by his ex-girlfriend, and when the police came by to investigate, instead of turning herself over to the police, she just took her own life. She made him suffer before a very brutal, painful death before taking her life as quickly as possible. So yeah, I'm gonna step away. I do have other things to do. Thank you very much for having me on here, Ander. It was a pleasure to
No
be here,
problem.
but I'm getting a little grossed out with this particular sick fuck individual.
Yeah,
All
okay.
right.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so she was at the march, and you also had this one, Linda Sarzer, who is pro Sharia law, who was
This
like
bit
the
grind my gears.
who is like the co-chair or like the founder for the and I saw a video of her at on the Daily Show. I think it was on Facebook. It was, and what I saw in the comment section was really fucking disturbing. It was Muslims who were bashing her because she shook Trevor Noah's fucking hand on the show.
Yeah.
And Muslim women weren't supposed to shake other people's hands except for family.
Yeah,
Like,
they're not supposed to, especially the
that's
hands.
fucking Sharia law, and she's pro that. Fuck that. Jesus Christ.
I
I
mean,
these
don't
are-
think she knows what Sharia law is if she actually will do things that are openly in opposition to Sharia law.
Yeah, but we have
Precise.
right here, just the first one. I'm not going to read the entire goddamn thing. Lena Sarzer, a national co-chair of the Women's March on Washington, whose stated mission is to send a bold message that women's rights are human rights, is also an outspoken advocate of Islamic Sharia law that restricts the rights of women, claiming Sharia is reasonable and has simply been misunderstood.
It's definitely been misunderstood, but not for the reasons that she's saying. A lot of Islamic Sharia law basically treats women like chattel, but on top of that, it also absolves them for any responsibility that they might have of taking care of themselves, which is what a lot of people forget.
Yeah.
So basically, they trade all of their rights to be treated like children their whole entire life, which kind of goes in line with the current feminists wanting to be treated like a child.
Yeah,
So,
but
in other words, what she's probably wanting is to get all the benefits of Sharia law, as she doesn't have to take responsibility for any of the shit she does. But she
Pretty much.
expects that since it's America, she's not going to have to deal with the getting oppressed by Sharia law because they won't let that happen.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Like for instance, in Sharia law, part of the reason women aren't allowed to work is because the men in their family are pretty much forced to take care of them their whole entire lives. And even if they do get a job, when the money from that job, they're not required to spend any of it on their children or their family.
yeah, that's true as well. But
So
these
they
are the
restrict
kind of
women.
people who are at the
Yeah.
march. Yeah,
But yeah, it's just asshole backwards. It's like claiming Sharia law is reasonable is like fucking spit in the face of everything Western culture stands for.
yeah. I don't know if you guys want to go through this with it. It's kind of 5 minutes, so I didn't realize it when I found it. Do we want to go through that video, or do we want to go through the article instead?
Let's do the article.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna link the videos in the description after the stream is done, if people wanna watch all of it.
Story time with Andrew.
So we will not until women have parity and equity at all levels of leadership in society. We work peacefully while recognizing there is no true peace without justice and equity for all. Yeah. Does anyone see like the contradiction? It's basically a paradox of you have people trying hijabs at the women's march, saying, "Oh, it's so brave and progressive and stunning and whatever." I've seen like tweets of that shit, and then saying it's for equality. It's so freaking retarded.
Well, if you read her statement, she says she won't respect the president an administration that won the election on the backs of Muslims and black people and undocumented people and Mexicans and people with disabilities and backs of women. Well, obviously, all of those people fucking supported him if he won the election. And I do understand the thing about the popular vote, but the election ended before the final popular vote tally even came in. So,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
And here, Sharia law is reasonable. Once you read into the detail, it makes a lot of sense. People just know the basics. I think she is the one who doesn't know the fucking basics. Sharia law is misunderstood and has been pushed as some evil Muslim agenda. Some Muslims are oppressors for sure.
Evil Muslim agenda? I'm sorry that Islam is political in its nature. You can't get out from under that no matter how hard you try.
Yeah, I mean, how does she honestly believe that she's only going to get the parts of Sharia law that benefits her? What makes her think that's even going to happen?
She's already been indoctrinated into one of the negative parts. She wears a fucking hijab in the West.
Well, there was also this fencer who was American who wore a hijab who got to the who visited the White House. Like seriously, I actually did some fencing, a little bit, a few years, and she's basically one of the worst people. She basically just got signed up for the Olympics, and she fucking lost her first match. So it's basically just someone who got funded and into the Olympics, and then got basically owned. So these people who wear jobs and do so-called progressive things and get hailed for it is just freaking retarded to start with, because there's nothing brave with a woman having a job and doing sports. It's actually freaking retarded, because you're actually making it harder for yourself when you wear something on your head doing sports.
You're basically creating a blind spot.
Yeah.
And you're restricting your movement if it's too tight.
And you're also limiting like sweats, because you're gonna get way hotter with that thing on your head than regular stuff.
That's not necessarily true. Hijabs are quite cool because of the fabric that they're made out of.
Well, in a helmet, it gets pretty freaking hot.
Oh yeah, definitely though.
Then that's what I'm talking with the fencing. When you have a hijab and a helmet on, and it gets there's not a lot of air coming. You basically just have like tiny holes in the helmet in front, so you can kind of see something. It gets pretty freaking hot, I can tell you that. So
I took fencing for a little bit in my first few years of college, and those things are fucking tight.
yeah. I did fencing, I think, for 10 years or something. Anyways, here's another one. If you are still paying interest, then Sharia law hasn't taken over America. Just saying. Here, this one is probably the most insane one. 10 weeks of paid maternity leave in Saudi Arabia. Yes, paid. And you're worrying about women driving. Puts us to shame. Jesus.
Of course it puts you to shame when you're shamed for even having a job in Saudi Arabia, because you don't have to spend any of that money on your family. So of course she's looking at it like 10 weeks of paid maternity leave. Look at all this free cash. It's like, in the US, no. Here, I seriously don't get with these people. How can they sit there and only look at the benefits and completely ignore the negatives because they don't have to deal with them?
Yeah, she also said that her student loans would disappear under Sharia law. Doesn't that sound good? Like, yeah, because the men are gonna pay for it, you motherfucker.
And just pointing this out, if she isn't married yet, if she was living under Sharia law, she would probably be married already, which means her husband probably wouldn't even allow her to go to school, which means she wouldn't have student loans in the first fucking place.
Yeah, and you see here this line here is a racial justice and civil rights activist, every Islamophobe's worst nightmare. The Islamophobe is such a weasel word because being not being scared but being aware of Islam and the issues there is not Islamophobia. Hashtag not all Muslims, because I have a close friend who is a Muslim, and he's basically he eats pork and drinks alcohol, but he's still a Muslim. But like most Muslims aren't like violent, but there's a problem with Islam because no matter what ideology you have, there's gonna be issues because people are flawed and they're gonna use it to their advantage to drive their violent means.
The thing about the
Like
word
with propaganda as
Islamophobia
well.
is possibly its implications. Like, who in their right mind who's taken any kind of look at Islam could say that having a fear of it is somehow irrational?
No, well,
Like,
not
are
a
you
fear, irrational fear. Irrational fear is a phobia is basically the irrational fear of something. Say if you
Well,
are
they're
afraid
trying
of
to claim that the fear that people have is irrational, which would make it a phobia. But how is the fear that people have of Islam in any way irrational?
yeah, true.
I get that there are some people afraid of terrorism, but that's not afraid of Islam particularly. That's being afraid of Islamic terrorism. But at the same time, it's like fear of Islam isn't fucking irrational. It's retarded. It's basically trying to say that if you have any kind of fear of Islam, then you're an irrational person. Well, have you actually fucking looked at Islam? Its history, its current state? I mean, it's a very big threat to our very way of life. Not as big as, say, corporations here in the West, but just look
Yeah.
at Europe, for instance. I mean, and not just Islam, but also the type of culture that it's breeded over the last couple of centuries.
Now, my opinion about the reason that we see so many Islamic terrorists is simply because in the Middle Eastern countries, education is not something you see as much, and illiteracy is a lot higher than in first world countries and even and beyond. And something worth noting is that there's probably the small group of educated people who's taking the ones that can't read and can't do that, and they're just using the Quran and they are just amplifying the things in it and telling them what it says, and it certainly things that it doesn't say, or telling them that interpretations of it so that these people will be whipped into zealots.
It's the same thing here in the US for Christianity. That's how we know what's happening and that it's a problem, because we see it here in the US all the fucking time with preachers.
See, we just have a history of knowing what these things happen because we saw the Christian faith be whipped into a zealotry fury of murder and death.
We have whole entire fucking memes about the crusade.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to go through an Islamic crusade.
Yeah. We're also getting some
sorry.
echo off you, Andrew.
Yeah, I forgot to when the video settings video, so that causes an echo if I don't turn it off. So I got disconnected for some reason. My net went down. But and Kirsty, do you have any thoughts on like the organizer of the women's march?
Hold up.
That's a loud noise. Do you have any thoughts on it?
So far, I watched a great video that Sandra pulled out of who normally gets indoctrinated into Sharia law, and it's pretty interesting that who normally gets to. You just like valid research. So I say of the protests, Sharia law being a thing and having Westerners trying to take the value of Sharia law and getting bit in the ass by it. I say Sharia law is like obviously a threat to the modern world. So if anything would happen, it would probably be like, I don't know, the Second Crusades or something. That's all I gotta say.
No. Well, funny thing is, funny thing. I was actually trying to be social and kind of escaping the autism that is internet and all that kind of jazz yesterday, and Lord and behold, what I get into is a discussion about Islam, and one Muslim guy saying ISIS aren't true Muslims, and I'm like, oh my god, why the fuck am I? Can I escape this fucking shit when I'm trying to escape this shit? And I'm like, no, fuck it, I'm not gonna get involved because I would just get angry.
According to ISIS, neither is he.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother. And then I meet this girl from Seattle actually, and then she starts to talk about Trump, and I'm like, oh my god, oh, it's like it fucking haunts me wherever I go. I just want to have a beer and be social and have some fun for once. This fucking thing it keeps happening. Last time it was in I think when I was in Denmark, someone I started talking about immigration. I'm like, oh my god. Can't these people shut the fuck? It's like the normies. We're talking about it all the time, and when we actually talk about normies, they want to discuss it as well.
Normie blood shall run in the streets.
That's just a funny anecdote from yesterday, because it just seems like I just can't escape this crap. Even though oh, Razor X Gamer says normie genocide when. I don't know, man. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered all the topics. Anything you want to mention before we close the stream? Yes, no, chill,
Not
anything?
really, no. That's
Yeah, I think we're good here.
Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye.